Hey everyone, it's Claire here, and today I'm going to do a small update at the beginning of this video, and then I'm going to get on and do the Q&A video I promised at the end of my Ellen Q&A that went up just over a week ago. There has not been a video in the last sort of, I think, week and a half, something like that, because I have been really unwell with my nerve pain and my endo. I ended up, I've got to move that wing over it, it's annoying me. And my period was late, so all the endo symptoms have been prolonged, and this has set off my nerve pain. And I've actually had one of the worst kind of flares of my nerve pain that I've had in quite a while. So I have had no sleep whatsoever and can't keep any food in, but that's too much information. So that's kind of part of where I've been. And the other part is, for the last 2 weeks, I have been struggling terribly with my sewing machine. It has been being very naughty. There's been lots of swearing and threatening to throw her out the window. And she just cannot cope with the volume of sewing and the amount of bamboo fleece I'm sewing with. So after my husband horrifyingly stripping it down, knows nothing about sewing machines, and lots of testing and realising actually there's nothing wrong with her, she just can't cope, we invested in a new machine which will be arriving tomorrow. If you'd like to see a photo of that machine, and I'll probably put a little update of when it comes and setting it up and that in my Facebook group. So if you search for Flow of the Goddess on Facebook, you will find my group there. So that's kind of where I've been. So when that machine is here and set up, then I will be starting sewing the stock for my Etsy shop, which I still plan to be in 2 weeks, although I'm going to have to get a wriggle on and hope this pain gets better than it is. And I will also be doing the tutorial on how to make unpaper kitchen towel and wipes, as quite a few people requested that after my video where I kind of talked through it and the uses and the fabrics and stuff. So if you've already seen that video, quite a few people asked for a tutorial, so I'm going to get on and do that. So that's a small update. Now on to the Q&A. I do apologise if I get my words muddled or whatever, because like I said, I'm in a lot of pain, but I really wanted to get this video done as I'd been promising it. So number one is, and I will be saying people's first name or the first name and initial of their second name for privacy reasons. And these are all questions that I've had either directly under my videos or mostly via messages on YouTube or messages on Facebook. And there were so many people asking the same sort of questions. Rather than me taking hours to sift through them all, I can now do that slowly and take my time, and this will kind of answer a few of those questions. So number one is from Sammy, and she asked, how did I discover cloth pads? Well, I discovered cloth pads on Google because I just had enough of layering disposables, feeling like I was wearing a plastic nappy, and I went online to try and search out a different option. So as you do, I went on Google and started typing in alternatives to disposable menstrual pads, and stuff about cloth and cups and other stuff started coming up. So that's how I actually found out about them. I didn't know anyone who used them already. Number two is from Louise, and she asked, did I love cloth instantly? No. My journey to cloth, which is why I've focused on quite a few videos on coming to cloth, buying your stash, making your stash, some guides sort of things, was not a smooth one. It was certainly not even an enjoyable process until I got further down the line. From my brief search on Google, the ones that I saw were the ones on eBay and Amazon, which were the China cheapies. They weren't dear. I purchased them with very little research, They were unfunctional, they were itchy. I hadn't realised they were polyester. The PUL kind of, the wings were slidey. I had one pad do an entire 180. And I was just like, hell no, and chucked them. I also had no idea about the ethical side of those pads at the time. So got rid of them, was like, no, cloth pads is clearly not for me. I have no idea, why people are praising them. Then a couple of months later, I was just in agony and, was coming back to there has to be another option. At the time, I had tried using organic disposable pads, but they were just the same sort of problem. You knew they were organic, but they were still sweaty and, the layering, it was just... So then I found makers via Facebook, like actual proper makers of pads that look like the ones down in front of you. And I tried some of those pads and they were absolutely gorgeous, nicely sewn, gorgeous fabric choices, but they just weren't holding my flow. And I was having to de-stash them and lose money, go back to the maker, and their answer was to, because obviously they had no experience with my kind of flow, was just to add more absorbency and more absorbency, so they were getting thicker and thicker like nappies, and it was just not good. So in total I spent about £200 and I lost a ton of money de-stashing them. And that is when I came across Amy Nix on YouTube and thought, right, sod it, I'm going to have to make my own. And as soon as I started making my own, learning about fabrics, once I get interested in something and it becomes a passion for me, I'm like a sponge. I have to know everything. I have to research. I have to watch videos. I have to anything, learn about fabrics. I know more about fabrics than probably a normal person should. And I just loved it. And once I also knew what I needed and what I liked in pads, then I could still buy like my regulars and liners and stuff from makers, and I would know what I was asking for. And there's even a couple of makers that I can get my supers from that, kind of I know what I'm looking for, they have an understanding. So now I love them. But it wasn't love at first sight with cloth. Number 3 is from Chloe, and that's, could I already sew, and if not, how did I learn? I could not sew. The only time I had ever owned a sewing machine was at school to make a pillowcase, I think in like year 7 or 8 or something. And then when my nan died, my granddad gave me her sewing machine and I tried to make some little pouches, which failed epically, and it stayed in the box. So when I watched the Amy Nix videos, I got out the machine. It didn't have a guide with it or anything, so I had to go on YouTube and look at books and kind of teach myself. So it was pretty much practice, practice, and more practice. So if you start making cloth pads and they look like Frankenstein pads, don't worry. It's just like a part of the course, I think, of learning to sew. They will get better. Don't be disheartened. Still show them off. It's just part of the learning process. So I've pretty much taught myself to sew with the help of YouTube. Question 4, why don't I use or talk about cups? And that's from Jezza. Well, I think I have mentioned it in a couple of other videos. I don't use cups because of where my endo lies. The muscles that kind of go up your vaginal walls, you have 2 layers of those, and I have lesions in between those layers. So I cannot wear a cup. It doesn't matter size, design or anything. It's just something that I can't do. So I don't wear a cup, and in all honesty, it doesn't bother me. It's not something I think, oh, I wish I could use a cup, because I really love cloth pads and they work for me. And I deliberately choose not to talk or give advice on cups because I feel you can't really talk about something, give advice on it, unless it's something you have experience with. How can I advise you on what cups to buy, on how to insert them, remove them, care for them, if I personally don't do that myself? So if you are interested in cups as well as cloth pads, then I really do recommend the Amy Nix YouTube video, as she has done wonderful videos on cups. Number 5, what's my favourite length and absorbency of core? Well, my favourite, this from Cuddles, my favourite length of pad is a 14 to 16 inch. And absorbency, I'm always at the super postpartum end. My favourite core is super heavy organic bamboo fleece. Number 6 is from Leslie, and she asks, what made me decide to do a YouTube channel? Well, it certainly was not something I had planned, not in a million years actually. That's something that would just never occur to me. And at the time I was getting ready to open my Etsy shop when I got a problem with my back, which is still undergoing investigation. I have an MRI on Wednesday. But it was so bad, I was told I could not sew, and that went on for a couple of months, and I was kind of going a bit nuts with like, well, I can't sew, I really like getting cloth pad withdrawals sort of thing. And at the same time I was looking around online and thinking, you know what, there's no information out there for people with megaflow and endometriosis or hereditary problems that give them mass flow. So it kind of both came together in the fact that I wanted to start doing some informational videos, and it also kept me going during that period where I couldn't do very much, and it was just an extra pain on top of my already pain. So it became something that I could do that kind of took my mind off the agony I was in, and also kind of help other people that may have experienced the same things as me and talk about cloth and all that sort of thing. So that is why I started the YouTube channel. Number 7 is from Emma, and that is, how old am I? I am 31. Let's turn this over. Number 8 is from Susie, and that's, why don't I show my face? For the simple fact that I am ill a lot of the time due to my health. I'm in a lot of pain. Some days I don't make it out of my pajamas. I have not brushed my hair. I mean, I've been up now for 72, probably a bit over 72 hours straight. Right now I am in a mixture of Grumpy Cat pajamas and Lion King pajamas with a Migraleave cool pad on my head. So I'm pretty sure you don't want to be seeing me right now. And if you could see me, I would be pretty self-conscious of how I'm looking, and when I'm in pain and I'm wincing and stuff, or if I have my eyes half closed. So this way I don't have to think about it. I can just do the video that I'm looking to do, get that information out there, and it takes my mind off the pain a bit without worrying what I'm looking like. And quite a few people have commented that they actually quite like it, because unless I'm doing a tutorial obviously, but most of my videos you can put on in the background while you're sewing and not have to worry about missing something on screen, because I'm just chatting to you. So number 9 is, do I feel embarrassed talking about periods and vaginas? No, is the short answer to that. I don't get embarrassed easily. I'm quite a blunt person. Anything to do with vaginas, periods, sex, none of it really bothers me. I don't get embarrassed about it. I'm quite happy to talk to complete strangers in public about it, to be honest with you. It wouldn't bother me in the slightest. And I'm also really big on education and how, you know, there's still a lot of places, not just in the world, because often we think, oh, in other countries, but even in like the UK and the US and these big countries like the USA, where menstruation isn't talked about and is seen as quite shameful or quite dirty. So I'm really big on education, not just for girls and women, but also for boys, because often in schools, and I understand why they do it, because young boys, we all know what they can be like and what their sense of humours are like as well. So they want girls to be comfortable when they're talking to them in their one conversation that you get in your entire school lifetime on periods, which is highly unrealistic. When I was at school in our period talk, I was told in your entire period you'll lose a teaspoon of blood. Really? I'm sorry, no. That is the biggest load of misinformation anywhere. But because of that separation, the boys don't really get told anything. So unless their parents are quite open about it and their mum's quite open about it, then there's a gap there where the boys that are then going to grow up to be men don't have education in women's issues. And it doesn't matter if they're going to grow up to be straight or gay, if they're going to get married or not married. They may have a wife or partner that's a woman. If they don't, they're going to have family and friends that are women. So it is something I think should be like equal education. So I quite like talking about it and just doing my bit to get education out there where I can, really. So no, I don't get embarrassed. And also having endo, you know, there's a lot of exposure of your lady parts down there for examinations and stuff. You soon get over any kind of embarrassment that you could have. So number 10, what made me decide to work towards selling cloth pads? And that's from Nora. Well, originally I started making cloth pads obviously just for me, certainly not with a view to sell. And if you had seen my first ever cloth pads, you would certainly not think of selling. But as I went on and learned more about cloth pads and kind of tried to find what would work for me with my kind of flow and developed the core that I now use, that with the lack of education out there on that type of flow really led me to think, well, you know what, maybe I should start selling. And hopefully I can help some women that are in the same position as me. I mean, obviously, I will be selling pads, whether you want a line or whether you want a mega pad. But it's kind of, that's what originally drove me to think of selling, was to develop something for those with really heavy periods. I mean, obviously, like I've said in many videos, and like anyone who uses cloth pads will tell you, cloth pads, one will work for one person and it won't work for another. But my hope is, even if I can help like a handful of women that have struggled like me, and then they can use my pads and be like, do you know what, Claire? Instead of having to change my pad every 20 minutes, I'm managing to go an hour and a half, 2 hours would be like a miracle. Then that's completely worth it. And I love making cloth pads and everything about them so much that it just is a way for me to also just work with something I'm really passionate about. So that's really why I decided to work towards selling. I've run my own business anyway because of my health, just a very small one from home for 8 years anyway. So starting a business is nothing new to me, but this has been kind of a whole challenge of its own, with many kind of moments along the way where I was like, is this ever going to happen? But it is finally happening. So that's selling. Question 11, how is my endo diet going? And that's from Louise V. I have not done an update on this yet, mostly because I don't really feel I have enough to say about it. With the endo diet, if you've seen my previous endometriosis video, you have to cut out a lot of stuff. I mean, all sugar, all wheat, all dairy, all red meats, all soya, like a whole list of this stuff. And I already have food sensitivities and allergies, so I can't eat garlic or onion or tomato. So it has been more of a struggle than I anticipated. And the first thing I did was kind of go cold turkey, if you like, clear out the cupboards and be like, right, there's none of that in here. I'm never eating that again, starting from now. That was an epic fail. So basically what I'm doing now is doing it bit by bit. So severely cutting down on my wheat and adding in wheat-free alternatives wherever possible, but not punishing myself if I'm out and I have to eat a sandwich on the go. I've severely cut down on my sugar. So I'm doing it in stages, but I haven't done enough yet to see any kind of results. I wouldn't expect to see any results on my cycle yet. The same with supplements. I haven't been taking the supplements long enough to give a fair account on if they have made a difference to my cycle. So when I get a bit further along in it, I will do an update video on that. And last but not least, question 12 is from Chantel, and that's, do I make my own cloth pad patterns? Yes, I do. I've made all my patterns. I made them when I first started learning to sew my own pads. I tried a couple of the ones that are in groups on Facebook that you get for free. I tried the, oh God, my brain is just not working today. What is it called? Oh, I tried the Luna Wolf one. That didn't work for me, and I also tried the Amy Nix pattern, and that didn't work for me, but that's because these patterns are mostly symmetrical, and because of the way my flow is, I need an asymmetrical pattern with a lot more coverage at the back and less at the front. So I was finding they weren't really working. I wanted to be able to customize the width and stuff, so I made up all my own patterns. Recently I actually purchased the Moonglow set of patterns from Etsy to have a go at those, because I noticed so many people were sewing with them, and I was like, ooh, I'll give this a go, because it's virtually the same shape as mine, but with slightly bigger flare at the back and triangle wings. So I was like, well, this pattern should definitely work for my flow. I definitely want to give it a go. I only got to make 2 of those before my machine decided hell no, so I will be making more of them. And I don't really have a problem with either way. If you are confident in making your own patterns, or you want to make your own patterns, absolutely go for it. If you want to buy patterns or use free patterns, also the same. If you're planning to sell, of course, then not everyone wants their pattern to be sold. So if you purchase a pattern or use a free pattern and it says personal use only, it is personal use only. But some, like the Moonglow pattern, for example, you can sell and then give credit for the pattern. So I don't have a problem with either, to be honest. When I start selling, I'll be using mostly my own patterns, but if I really like some of these Moonglow ones, I may make some pads in that pattern. Hey ho. I was going to do a video on how to make a pattern. I may still do it, but Amy Nix has done such a great job of her create your own pattern videos that unless there's some way that I feel I can make it different, I don't really see the point in me kind of going over the exact same thing. So if you are currently looking into how to make your own patterns, check out the Amy Nix pattern video. I may do one in future, but we will see. So that is it from me today. I am now going to go and pass out on the sofa with a fan on. But got through it. Hopefully I will feel better in a few days and my words will be a bit more coherent than this video has been. But I will be back. So if you have not already, please do subscribe and do pop over to Facebook and visit my Facebook group, where you'll be able to get more updates on the Etsy shop. I will let everyone know when new videos go live on there. and we can all just have a chat. So I will speak to you soon. Bye for now.